Welcome back to the stream, everybody. Sorry about the interruption. My computer borked on a massive degree, but it seems to be working again. So we are back and ready to go. So we are going to pick up right where we left off there. The sandworms are now dead on the ground in front of you. They no longer move. The five of you can now catch your breath as you have all either been on the brink of death or crossed that thin veil and made your way back today. What is your plan here as you stand at the base of this tower and the guardians, I suppose, are dead around it?
Well, first of all, since I guess I see Janla coming back to life, I'm gonna run over, scramble over with my little HP that I have. I'm gonna grab him by the collar as is usual Rose fashion. I'm gonna look him straight in the eye, and I'm gonna put my face close enough so that our noses almost touch. And I'm just gonna stare at him for a solid, 30 seconds.
Chandler's exhausted, so he's just gonna sit there.
His head keeps pulling back up, just keep pulling him back up. Let's say, you were dead.
I got knocked unconscious from the worm.
No. I saw your soul leave your eyes.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, I mean, yes, of course you have a soul. We all do.
Ray goes, "Do I have a soul?"
Yes, you have a soul too. And I gently pat his head. Of course you do. You have the biggest one of all of us because you're the oldest.
You keep saying that. It's weird.
Ray looks at Gorick and then looks back at Rose like, "Really?"
Mm-hmm.
Ray has the most uncanny ability to dodge every single attack that's ever thrown our way, and I want that power.
It's because he's so small.
He rests on Quartz's ever-dripping hat and just never takes damage. And it's something I wish Quartz could rest on his own hat and never take damage.
I'm gonna say to Jenla, listen. I appreciate you coming with me to save my friend. But I'd really appreciate it if I would come out of there with two friends and not just one.
I agree. It sounds like I should thank the dwarf.
Garrick, you're pretty scary, but that was kind of impressive, not gonna lie.
Did you see when he turned into a skeleton?
I thought he was gonna choke me, but he didn't. That was a relief.
The god of death is the gatekeeper between this realm and the next. If it is not your time, he can hold you here.
Well, whenever his birthday comes up, you should buy him some hand cream.
I think Chandler's probably gonna be kind of acolyte of whatever god it is from now on.
Whatever that is. Well, I just wanted to reiterate one thing. When we go in there, nobody can speak a word.
I think then before we go in there, and I'm gonna sort of lay out like a prayer book and start praying and cast prayer of healing on the
Rest
party.
first? Oh, we could do that too.
All right.
Do we have the ability to cast any spells that will help us long term going in there? We won't be able to cast.
I can't lightning bolt them anymore, but I can do other things.
I can enhance ability on somebody.
I have.
can
I
give you
could
a cat's
deafen them,
grace.
so if they start to hear something, I could, help them go back to reading.
Oh, I get it. Not like loud noise deafen them, but okay.
Yeah.
My brain was envisioning you going to this super sensitive, don't say anything. They have really sensitive hearing and being like, shatter!
Shatter. And then yeah, pretty much.
Police sirens and French police sirens walks into the tower.
Yeah.
We probably should have thought of this before he got here, but I'm not really going to be effective in any way, shape, or form when we get in there.
Nobody says that everything always has to be a fight.
I'm pretty sure that those sandworms weren't up for chatting.
The only thing I can do is cast an illusion when we get in there and stab people with my dagger.
Stab wizard.
Stab wizard, best wizard.
You've been pretty successful with that dagger. I don't think that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, I guess I'm pretty confident in my dagger skills. Yeah, Jandler's fine. We can go in there then. Never mind.
Okay, put on your little necklaces. We don't need the water breathing, but the communication is still gonna be nice.
What necklaces?
The ones,
Oh wait, I did wear it before. Never mind. I know what you're talking about.
You have worn it. I'm like, the one that you put on instead of the other one.
Hard against a sandworm.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's gotta get better from you.
All right, so you place on the necklace.
And I'm going to tell Ray that he needs to be as silent as he
Ray's
can.
gonna die.
All right, so
I don't think we can take Ray in here.
Should we leave Ray out here?
Yeah, I don't think we can take Ray in here.
Everybody gets 15 HP back from Prayer of Healing. It takes 10 minutes to cast, though. So.
Excellent. So, Gorik, you've
almost
laid
full.
out your prayer book and cast your prayer of healing as this conversation goes on.
Can we take a
you
short rest? Do we have time for
get
that?
more healed. Yes, you can take 10 minutes and short rest, eat some rations while
So I could use more spell levels.
Gorik is casting his prayer of healing. And any benefits therein.
Having long spells.
I really feel bad about leaving Ray outside on his own, though.
I could leave my hat,
I do like his hat.
and then
We
he'll
could
stay
leave
watered.
you.
Actually, maybe we shouldn't leave the hat because somebody might want it.
It's fun under the hat.
Ray, can you stay really quiet?
Yeah?
Remember when we did those meditation exercises?
Uh-huh.
You'll need to hold on for a really long time this time.
Oh. I did it like a whole 2 minutes once.
Let's leave
That
Ray
was
out here.
pretty good.
I don't think Quartz regains consciousness till I finish Prayer of Healing.
I've been conscious.
I don't think Hugh regains consciousness till I finish
Okay.
Prayer of Healing. 'Cause
Yeah.
I just spare the dying on him. I didn't use Healing Word.
Correct. Okay.
No.
Hugh wakes up after 10 minutes of prayer of healing.
Yeah. I just left Hugh unconscious for that. I'm just like, boop. I'm just gonna pause you and go revive Janla.
I think I'm gonna take Ray, but I will put one hand over his tiny face. And you'll have to try to be real quiet. It could be deadly if you're not. Not if you understand.
You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead.
I understand.
And
I mean,
We
so
can't. He's gonna
after
get
Prayer
die
of
for
Healing
it.
and 2 hit dice, Gorik's back to full HP.
all right. Full HP seems good.
I've used 1 second level spell for Prayer of Healing. I used.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll. Yeah, one more hit die as well, just to get to full.
I'm going
one healing
to.
It was just 1 healing word, wasn't it?
I believe
think
you
it was.
used 1 healing word
And 1 revivify.
and
So.
1 revivify. Spare the dying.
And then I used Bones of the Earth.
And you used
from
bones of the earth from the stone. Yeah, I think that's all you did. Yep.
I'm going to cast Good Berry, and I'm going to hand out some good berries.
Okay. Good berries are handed out.
One, and Ray gets one too.
Ray looks at it, like doesn't know what to do with it. Puts it on its little like bushy head.
Excellent.
Can I cast
like
shield?
quartz.
Can I cast shield as a non-react? Like, can I just cast shield on myself right now?
I don't think it sticks around, right?
No, I know, but can I just do it on
I
myself?
think he
to
just
gain
wants
2
it
HP?
to add to his ward.
I have 1 spell, first level spell, and I won't be able to
You
cast
just,
any first level.
if you
Yeah.
would like to burn a first level spell away, you can cast shield on yourself to do it. And
Perfect.
And you could add to the arcane ward, but that's pretty much it. It'll
Yeah.
Oh god.
fizzle off after a moment.
I don't.
I just slept really loud.
Perfect. Can I do that? Oh, we're just gonna go in here. Right? We won't be able to talk at all.
Dan, is your arcane word considered temporary HP or is it something else?
No, the arcane ward takes. It's like a.
It works identically to to temporary HP, but it's considered a ward. It's different.
But it's not considered temporary.
It's not temporary HP. It just works identically.
It's like, imagine this like pool of health that I can just like have, like take the damage for me or not.
Okay.
I can
Gorix,
theoretically choose to not take any damage with it when I've taken attacks.
Are you trying to give him temporary HP? Because you can do that. They're two
Yep.
separate resources.
that's exactly what
Yeah.
I'm doing.
Yep.
Okay. I'm actually gonna burn 2 second-level spell slots to cast shield as well.
All right. Chandler's going in with no spell slots, but he's gonna
I've
have a
got-
hell of a ward.
I've got 2 third-level spell slots in case we need to make an escape.
Chandler's sitting in a corner like, ha ha, ha ha, ha ha. He just starts glowing more and more.
I mean, I won't be able to cast any of these spells when I get in there, so it's like
On the short rest, can't you arcane recovery to get a spell slot back?
I did that for a 3rd-level spell.
Okay. Right
Should've done it
before
first.
we enter the tower, Goric is going to cast False Life on Chandler
Okay.
and be like, he's just going to walk up and he's going to be like, you need to try and hang on longer.
Ooh.
The Spectre of Death is not completely past you. And I just cast False Life on you and you get 8 temporary hit points.
Alright. And now
Alrighty. Excellent.
39 total hit points.
Right,
including
which
the
is, I
temporary.
think, what Gorik's got. What's my max HP? My max HP is 36. So you've actually got more effective hit points than I do now.
So, just bear in mind, you have 2 levels of exhaustion, so you have disadvantage on ability checks, and your
Yeah.
speed is halved.
Okay.
All right. So, is the preparation complete? The
It's
5
just
of you-
ability
Just
checks, not
ability
attacks,
for
right?
now, not attack rolls or saves
Just
until I
ability
think
checks.
3rd level of exhaustion.
I'm gonna gently tap my staff again before we go in to give us the mossy aura. I guess we sneak in if we're ready.
Oh, okay. So you cast Pass Without Trace yet again.
Yes.
And you make your way up the rocky path to the base of this tower as the sun is setting. All right. Do you leave Ray out with the dripping hat?
No, I'm gonna. Quartz wants to leave Ray, but he doesn't want to leave the hat.
Okay.
Chandler will
Well, Rose
suggest we
wants to
leave.
leave the hat, but she doesn't want to leave Ray. So,
So Ray rides along,
Right.
trying to balance the good berry on its head as he's riding the top of Quartz's hat.
some
in a-
Dr. Seuss level shit right now.
It's some very Dr. Seuss stuff going on, and you make your way up the base to the top of the rocky outcrop where the tower has an opening. It's a large iron door. Inlaid in the iron is these like large scrolls that are wrapped around a kind of shaped branch, although it doesn't look like a tree branch or an olive branch. It's just some kind of oddly otherworldly looking branch that these scrolls are wrapped around, and in that there is a small handle that you can use to pull open the doors. There's strange writing carved across the iron door as well, in an unfamiliar rune, just across the door, almost as if in warning or forewarning. You just get the feeling that this writing is important, though you cannot read it. You reach out and pull the doors open, revealing inside a large open area. The room is got a marble floor that your footsteps would clack on as you walk in, but the kind of moss from the Pass Without Trace deadens your footfalls, leaving you in a fairly eerie silence for a moment until the doors behind you just kind of swing shut on their own. Not loudly, but softly, but firmly. Leaving you in this kind of large open area. Along the walls, there are rows of what are they called? Desks.
Bookshelves?
These things.
Desks.
That have writing utensils on them, like feathers and quills of ink. and large kind of empty pages of scrolls set out. There are 4 doors, all made of iron, and shut and closed behind you. And the room goes up about as far as you can see up into the sky. There's no ceiling here, and you can look up. And above you are just rows and rows and rows of floors of the tower, as far as you can see staring up. And up there are robed figures kind of walking their way silently around, and you can make out bookshelves and where there are heavy tomes and large scrolls throughout it.
Quartz is going to walk up and grab one of these scrolls and the ink and the writing utensil.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll stash those for now.
Okay. You take the scrolls and put them in your bag. You take the.
I just need like enough. It's gonna be my means of communicating when we meet these guys.
You can
so
take
I'm gonna
the feather from the ink quill. You find that the ink itself is like the ink well is built into the desk itself, and you could not take it with you.
Is the ink still viscous?
Yes.
Okay, Quartz is gonna pre-write a message since I can't take too much ink with me. So he'll write out on one of the scrolls "Hi" with a smiley face, and then he'll take the pen with him so that he has a little bit more that he can write before he runs out of ink.
Okay. You have a "Hi" with a smiley face and an ink pen.
Oh, actually, I'll put down as well. We're looking for, and I have the periapt on, so I'll communicate to Rose through that. What's his name again?
As soon as you think loudly through the periapt, what's his name again? You hear all of you just a loud shh in your heads.
I just take the scroll over to Rose, and we're looking for is what's written, and then I kind of like point at the page.
Yeah,
and
I pick it up, and I write down Algernon's name.
All right. Did we know on entering that we were going to have to be quiet? Is that why Rose said we had to be quiet?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I missed that at some point.
Is there like a reception desk, or is there literally just bookshelves and bookshelves?
There's no bookshelves in this room. It's very sparse. There's very little of any kind of design or architecture or paintings, any decorations. It's just a Spartan room. There are 4 iron doors, similar to the ones that you came through, though lacking the writing on them. And there are these just kind of desks lined up along the walls with the scrolls, and there's chairs to sit at and inkwells to write.
Quartz is going to write a few more messages now.
Okay.
He's going to put down, after the bit about Algernon, also information about the Silver Lord. And then below that, also, do you have any books about the ancient ways of omen reading?
The ancient ways of what?
Omen reading.
Omen reading. Okay. Excellent.
They all seem pretty busy. There doesn't seem to be a receptionist or anything like that.
No, there's no one other than you in this first room in the base of the tower.
I'm gonna slowly walk up to the first door, and I'll try to gauge if anybody reacts to that.
Mm-hmm.
As in like.
There's no one in this room, so you gauge your party members. They don't seem to react in any way as you walk up to the door.
Okay.
As you approach, you see next to the doors just a small rope hanging next to the door, and it seems to feed through a small hole somewhere in there. And the door itself is iron with the same scroll and the strange branch inlaid in it, but there's no handle to pull it open.
Well, I'm gonna tug on the rope, I guess.
All right, you pull on the rope, and you hear inside your heads just the faintest tone, like a bell had tolled. All those are soft and quiet in your minds. And after a period of time, that door kind of begins to slide open inward towards where it leads. And standing in front of you is this small, fox-like humanoid. It has large kind of ears pricking up, and it wears on the end of its long snout little glasses, like gold, like spectacles, and the end of its snout has a chain that reaches back on behind his neck, made of gold as well. He's finely attired in robes of some kind of otherworldly, you would guess silk, something as soft and as nice as silk, though any of you with any fashion sense would know this is not silk that you are accustomed to. And he is holding in his paws like large stacks of scrolls. It kind of looks to the six of you, or five of you, excuse me.
Kurt's is gonna walk up with the scroll now, and
He starts to unveil it gradually, so he pulls out it out a little bit, and there's the high with the smiley face. And he pulls it up a little bit more, and we're looking for Algernon.
The creature kind of looks at you as you unveil the scroll, and from its like stack of scrolls in its hands, it reaches up with a single claw and kind of slides the glasses up its snout, and it begins reading the scroll that you've prepared. It nods its head and goes and sets the scrolls down on like tables and begins sorting through them. Placing them on a specific one, and then he kind of curls his finger forward at you like this, and begins walking out through the door that he came in from.
I'll go with him.
Alrighty.
Sure. I shall follow.
Okay, the five of you follow. He leads you out beyond the iron door, and he leads you up these kind of spiral staircases. And they lead you kind of, you would guess, to the edge of this tower. And the staircase leads around and around, and you find doors as you go up to your left, leading into the tower, where you assume these like shelves and rooms are. He leads you to about 3 or 4 floors up. And there's a door both to the left and to the right. And he takes out a large brass key from a key ring that had been kind of hidden in the folds of his kind of tabard and cloak. And he unlocks the door to your right and opens it up. And inside there's a beautiful room with a fountain that seems to be running without any sound at all, enchanted to be entirely silent, but you see water kind of coming out and out of it. There are chairs and sofas and desks, places to read and study. You have the smell of like kind of snack-like cakes waft out of there, spicy and warm. And he kind of bids you with an open claw to enter and have a seat.
Are there bookshelves in this room at all?
There are no bookshelves in this room, but there are desks and sofas and things. It looks as if it is designed to be a place to leisurely like study, or it almost as if you would bring books back to this place.
Okay. So then, like, after looking around, I'll unveil the scroll a little bit more to show the like also information about the Silver Lord. Also.
He once again takes a claw and kind of rings his glasses back up his snout and reads it. And it gives just a barely perceptible nod of the snouted fox head, and once again kind of bids you to enter.
All right. Kurtz will nod his head and head over to a seat.
All right. And you all seat, and as you do, the door closes behind you. You hear it lock once again. Some time passes as you sit here in this room with the silent fountain.
Are there inkwells in here?
Huh?
Are there inkwells in here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there are. Much like in the room below, there is like desks sitting around, but they're not the only thing in this room, right? They're much more kind of like
yeah, it's like a mix
areas.
of study and like dormitory lounge.
Yes.
Are there so they're like comfortable chairs and things?
Oh yes. Although the chairs aren't so much like you would expect them to be. They're more these kind of like circular long chairs with comfortable like cushions laid inside of them that can kind of rock around as you see fit. And there are large kind of otherworldly looking cot-like lounges that you seem to be able to support your body as well. There are more traditional chairs next to the desks themselves.
Gork's going to pick a chair that looks comfortable, sit down in it, and within 2 minutes be sleeping like an old man.
Gorak begins snoozing.
Greg, you said the
Gorak,
fountain
do
is
you
entirely.
snore?
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry, Faye. I have to know.
No,
Do you
no.
snore?
I mean, he does, obviously.
I don't know. Let's say there's like a 25% chance. Highs or lows, Greg?
Canonically, you've always snored in the past, so.
Nope.
Nope. All right. This
He
time
doesn't.
Gork
He
is-
just sleeps like this.
I like to think he's actually like a chin
Entirely
down kind of guy. Like,
Ooh, that's also good.
just like this. If he wore
Like-
spectacles, they would slide down his nose. Alrighty. Sorry, what were you saying, Rose? Or
So
Faye?
you said the fountain is entirely silent.
It is, yes.
I'm gonna walk over there.
Mhm.
I'm gonna pick up Ray. I'm gonna put my wooden fingers on my lips to do this. And then
Ray,
I'm gonna
Ray
put
is still intent on balancing the good berry on its
Exactly.
head. But
And
it
I'm
looks
gonna
at
put
you
his-
and kind of nods and then freaks out because the berry like moved.
I'm gonna put his tiny feet into the silent fountain.
You put the feet in the fountain, and Ray gets a big smile.
Okay, I hope I'm not sure if it's gonna work, but I hope in an emergency, it might maybe be better for us to have him in a silent fountain. So yeah, we'll see.
Alrighty. Excellent. So some time passes with you in this room. Hugh begins snacking down on the cakes, as Hugh is wont to do, and finds them quite delicious. After a few minutes, it's hard to tell how much time passes. There's no actual clock in here. You hear the door click open, and swing open, and the fox-like creature comes with a bundle of scrolls once again in his arms, and he begins setting them down and kind of sorting them into 3 piles. One massive pile gets built up and set to one side. A smaller pile of 2 or 3 scrolls and a single tome is set in one, and a second pile just has a single scroll left in it. And the fox-like creature nods its head and exits from the room, once again closing the door and locking you in it.
Okay.
Does the door make noise
Quartz
when it
will
closes?
put his hat into the fountain and just kind of have it float along so that he can pick up the
When
scroll.
when the fox creature drops those off, can Janlar create a minor illusion of like the words like "thank you" and "smoke"?
Yes.
Does
yes,
that take
you can.
verbal components?
No.
The smoke little words kind of form, and the fox kind of waggles its finger through the smoke a little bit, and then the words form, "You're welcome," and then leaves.
So I'm going to check out the first scroll, the one that's its own in the pile.
I want to answer Gorik's question here.
Oh,
The
go for
door
it.
does not make noise.
Alright, Gorik sleeps
the key
completely through it,
very
then.
specifically does. It makes a little chunk. The door's like hinges and setting does not. Sorry. Okay, what were you up to there, Sean?
I want to pick up so there were 3 distinct piles. I want to pick up the one with the lone scroll in it first.
The lone scroll is a single like piece of paper, and in it is a cramped and familiar hand. You see that it is written in Algernon's script, and it seems to be large, detailed notes upon the science of alchemy, and it is about this large formula. He is labeled the life formula, and there's a whole page as long as the table is of cramped notes going through the science of this alchemy.
Once he's done looking at it, can Janlar look at it as well?
Yeah, I
Sure.
think Quartz gets kind of bored pretty quick, and he's going to go for whichever pile has omen reading.
The pile with the largest amount of scrolls. Just scroll after scroll after scroll after scroll is full of omen reading and the
Alright.
many practices of it and the occultism of it. There's probably 100 or more stacked up here on a table for you. To
All right,
pick
he's
between.
gonna dive right in. Let the party handle the Algernon business.
Alrighty.
Greg, can I ask, is the paper that Algernon's notes were written on, is that library paper?
It looks very similar to the paper that Quartz used to say, "Hi, smiley face. We're looking for."
So it is possible he came here, looked for the notes, and then got into trouble afterwards after leaving. Because he obviously wrote something down, right?
It's possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Janlar is just going to try to decipher what he was trying to work on, since he read that alchemical book for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. You no longer have the book with you. You traded it off
Yeah.
at one point.
Yeah.
But you are familiar enough with the science of alchemy at this point that you are at least familiar with the terminology used and some of this. It seems to me, or it seems to you, that the formula that he is working on is some kind of way to use alchemy for the revival or the extension of a life that has long passed. And the notations are cramped and many because the actual alchemy of it is complicated. But he seems to be working on this single formula to create some kind of alchemical solution to do that.
I'll think through the periapt to Rose that was Algernon missing someone in his life? Was he trying to revive someone that you knew of?
As you project your thoughts through the periapt, all 5 of you again hear in your heads, shh.
Quartz does the same thing, but silently with his finger, like turning to the party as he hears it. Just
Janlar will blush. and
Rose
something
makes
else.
Rogue's. Right, do we still? Is there riding equipment around here?
Boric probably startles awake at the shush. Is like, what?
Janlar will take the periapt off then, just to make sure that he doesn't. Make
Is there there's riding equipment in here as well?
I wasn't napping. I was just resting my eyes.
You say that, and a more insistent and less happy shh, hits the 5 of you again.
Do I hear it now that I don't have the periapt down?
Yes.
Is there riding equipment in here?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna take a little scroll and write down sister.
I thought you said running equipment, like a treadmill, and I was like, what?
They're very silent. Yes.
Yeah.
The Scriveners
The
are
elliptical.
very fitness forward, right? They want to make sure that...
The silent elliptical. Yes.
yeah,
that's-
enchanted to be perfectly silent.
I'll write back then. It appears he was trying to save her.
yeah.
Goric is going to kind of look at the pile of notes and kind of see that it's the 3 things that Quartz had asked for, and stick his head out the door and ding the little bell again.
Okay, you go to the door, and on the inside there is a little string rope you can pull. And you pull it. Again, you hear that soft tone in the back of your head, almost like a telepathic bell has been rung. After a few moments have passed, the door once again and swings open to reveal another fox-like creature with its spectacles on its nose looking at you.
I'm gonna write down. I think I've got actually parchment, don't I?
Probably.
Yeah. I'm gonna to write down and ask if they have a Book of the Dead. One of the Ungral, if they have an Ungral Book of the Dead here.
It cocks its head a little bit, and then kind of motions with its finger and turns to allow you to leave the room.
Goric will kind of gesture to the party, tap his wrist and just leave, I'll be right back. Kind of.
Okay. After you step out of the room, he closes the door behind you. And he stabs you to death. No. And he locks it again. And then he begins leading you back down the stairs. And you go down a number of floors. And he leads you down to the base floor again. And then instead of leading you to the room where you entered, he takes a different door, takes a silvered key out of his the ring inside of the folds of his cloak, unlocks the door, opens it, and there's stairways leading down. And he leads you down a couple of flights of stairs until you arrive in a kind of floor that is a large open area rather than this kind of winding spiral that you've been in. And in this open area, you see there are statues to many of the gods that you recognize, but then there are statues to hundreds of others that you do not recognize at all. Some taking more human forms, humanoid, some forms very, very different from any that you've seen. He wanders through to find Ungral, and you see the image of Ungral kind of in this room. And he kind of finds a purchase on it and slides the statue aside, showing a staircase further down, in which you are bade to. He just kind of gestures to let you down.
The entire time that he was walking me through the tower, did I ever see another living creature?
When you are in the side passages on the outside of the tower, no. There are doors leading further in, supposedly towards where the bookcases were, but you did not see that. When you were in the main room, right, when you first entered the tower and you looked up and you saw up into the tower proper, there were rows and rows and rows of bookshelves and floors leading up. There were many robed figures kind of making their way through those rooms.
Okay. All right, well, Gorik will go down the stairs. From what he's estimating, this tower has basically copies of every piece of written information that's ever been created. And he's assuming if they have a Book of the Dead, it'll be like the most complete Book of the Dead in existence.
Mm-hmm.
So he wants to see that.
Right. The creature once again kind of bids you down the set of stairs. And as you make your way down them, the creature just kind of slides this statue back across, shutting the passageway behind you, leaving you kind of in the dark. But you realize now,
I have dark vision.
You realize now, as you expected to be thrown into the complete darkness, that there's just kind of an ambient, soft light from somewhere that's just here all the time. And even though the statue's been shut behind you, you still see as clearly as you had just walked in here from the outside. You make your way down this long staircase, and it ends in a small kind of open room with an altar and some insignia of Ungral, along with a tomb. And sitting along the sides of this room, leading up to the altar and the kind of sarcophagus-like tomb, there are books, big, thick, heavy bound books, and each of them are reminiscent of the Book of the Dead that you had carried with you from the forgotten Dwarven Hall. I think it was the Amber Hall next to Sarmanath.
Gonna unmute, and then Gorik's just gonna start looking through these books.
All right, you open them up, and they are seemingly complete. They're stretching back eons of history of dwarves. When you go through them, you spend some time, who knows how long down here. Time has a tendency to slip away from you. As you're kind of reading through them, you realize that some of these are dwarves and names that you might recognize, halls that are at least familiar in stories or in concept to you. But there seem to be halls here from dwarves and names and cultures that make no sense to you at all, as if they were alien or otherworldly in some way.
Well, Gorik will be down there for a bit, so what's the rest of the party up to?
What is the rest of the party up to?
Quartz is kicking his legs in the chair because they don't quite reach the floor as he reads from his scrolls of omen reading.
Nice.
From the notes, from Algernon's notes, can I deduce that there was a place he might have left for after coming here?
You read through the notes. They don't seem to indicate a place he might have gone to. No. They seem to be entirely focused on his studies here.
Do any of the materials seem like they are exotic? Does he talk about any materials needed for some potion that he might be searching for?
Yes. There are many materials that are quite exotic in his formula here. Many of them requiring either pieces of monsters or waters from springs that are quite remote and hard to get to. There are plenty of exotic materials of a number of types, both expensive and inexpensive, that seem to would require some amount of adventuring to obtain.
Okay. Yeah, I'm assuming it took me a while to read through that that scroll, but once I'm done with that, I would eventually read the other scroll about this Silver Lord as well.
Okay. Yeah, you make your way to that. There are a few scrolls there. They seem to be ancient and very old, but they are written in that kind of like proto-common that you're used to seeing from that time. There's also a single tome. Seems to be written in a dwarven language, and looks to be, after a quick perusal, though you don't speak and read dwarven the way Goric does, it reminds you of the same book that Algernon had found in the Seeker's Library, that Goric had used to give you your first kind of taste of the Silver Lord. But the rest of it is in regular common. It describes the Silver Lord as one of the first creations of the gods, at a time when the world was new. He was given a realm of his own to kind of grow and nurture, as they did with many others. And some of the others grew into like kind of normal deities. The Silver Lord was proud of his creation. The realm grew richer and more full of magic and splendor than any other, and wished to fashioned himself a kind of deity of his own, rather than as a subservient of the gods. He was arrogant and often attempted to usurp some of their own power for his own, some of their own prayers and majesty. And so he was to be struck down by the gods, and it shows of a kind of struggle between him and the gods for a little bit of power. The gods found that they were unable to slay him, but that they could trap him in a plane known as Carcerai, the prison plane. But the scrolls here say that he found his way back out and was the first to escape from Carcerai. And so the gods turned to another being, much like the Silver Lord, who was given a realm of their own, the first dwarf, Dworkin. And the gods asked Dworkin for an unbreakable chain for which they could bind the Silver Lord and cast him back into Carcerai. Dworkin acquiesced only under the agreement that he would be raised to kind of a deity stature himself, first dwarf and the kind of father of dwarven kind. So they gave him a people in the mountains that would share in his taste for crafting and making things, and raised him to a form of deity themselves. And he in turn gave them the unbreakable chain. When the Silver Lord was cast once again into Carcerai for his pride, this time the gods summoned forth a great red meteor from the sky to crash into the Silver Lord's realm and would corrupt it from the inside, taking away the majesty and the beauty of his realm, as punishment for usurping them a second time and escaping from Carcerai, and then it was sealed to the world.
Okay. Once Chandler's done reading it, that's all Chandler will do. Just
All right.
wait until you can discuss this with the party further.
Lore of the Silver Lord there. Okay. What is the plan? What do you do as you sit here in the Scrivener's Tower, reading away from books of lore, of yore?
I guess I'm going to scribble on another scroll. I'm going to write down and ask, like, where did Algernon go? And I guess I'll wait for another fox to check in, or for Gorik to come back with his fox, or...
Do you go ring the bell or whatever to get them to come?
Oh, hell no. Rose is awkward as fuck. There's no way she's going to ring a bell just as somebody comes to ask for information. She's going to awkwardly wait for somebody to pass by. So she holds a scroll in her hand and she's staring at the door. She's like, any second now.
Chandler would then
She's
come to
just
write over
looking.
on her scroll. Then, does he see that she wrote that? Does she show that to us, or does she just hold that by herself?
I mean, she holds it out right in front of her chest like this.
Okay.
So you can read it. You know, it's like all written out right here.
Chandler would write on a scroll then. No idea. I would assume to a place to acquire these materials. If I were him, I would go to the collector.
After sort of aimlessly leafing through the books in the room down where he is, Gorik is going to... how many did you say there were, Greg? There were like dozens and dozens and dozens.
Yes. Yes.
He's going to start flipping through and see if he can find the one from Deephold, or a copy of the one from Deephold, and see if he can flip to his own entry.
Okay. It takes you some time to find the ones from Deephold, but eventually you do. And you find a great massive book of all the names of Deephold. You flip through and have found your entry there.
My investigation check. Does it look? Is it updated at all, or is it? It ends with my death, and that's it.
You see that it ends in your death, and that is it.
Okay.
As if you were every other dwarf that had died and laid to rest.
Gorik is going to take a pen and write, "Return to the world as a servant of Ungral." And he writes the date that he was resurrected, and like a little dash, like 2, and then he doesn't fill that in. And for the audience, they can see that was 15 years ago.
Okay. Very nice.
The viewer of this cinematic scene
Right.
who knows the date can see that Gorik technically died 15 years ago.
Okay.
And then I think he's going to pull out some incense and he's going to meditate.
Okay.
And I am going to pray. I don't actually have like a spell for it, so I'm just going to do a generic prayer and see if Ungral is pulling Gorik to look at any of the specific books that are down here.
Okay. Interesting. You get your incense out and you begin to pray for some guidance about reading one of these books.
Engage in a little bit of bibliomancy.
I'm trying to think if there's anything in this room that you would be drawn to.
I mean, a Count of Dworkin, or maybe one of the dwarves that had something to do with the Chained Lord, or if if the wizard that we've been following this whole time, if his life was logged in any book anywhere, the Silver Lord's life was logged anywhere.
Okay. Yeah. Why don't you give me just a religion check, and we'll see how readily available that pull is to the gore.
Do you want me to use intelligence religion, or do you want to use my spellcasting modifier instead of intelligence?
I would be okay with either. Your spellcasting modifier makes a lot of sense here. You're kind of reaching out a little bit.
I'll use wisdom investigation. No, not investigation.
Wisdom religion.
Wisdom religion instead of.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm on board.
Instead of intelligence religion, so it'll be +4 instead of +2. 23.
23. You do. You kind of pray and you do feel a pull towards a book that is directly laid out behind the kind of coffin look in front of you. There's a smaller bookshelf, and there are 4 or 5 books on there. One in the center kind of pulls to your mind, and you also feel kind of like a sense that there's something below you, like underneath the floor that you're on now, that is of importance, right? You get that feeling as well, that there's something to be found in this central book, and there's something deep beneath you of importance.
Have I seen any stairs that lead farther down anywhere?
Not as of yet, no.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll look at that book that I'm being drawn towards.
All right. You pull it open, and you find it to be massive. It's one of the largest ones available. And you flip it open, and you find that it is indeed a kind of a listing of the first house of Dworkin. You see amongst you the founders of the very first hall of the dwarves. And among it, you see a house of the Chain Forgers. And the Chain Forgers died out, according to the dates here, some many thousand years before the Awakening. So this is a truly ancient house in terms of your culture. This is probably older than anything that you are familiar with or have been told about in stories. And amongst these, you notice that the first of the house of the Chain Forgers were direct descendant of Dworkin themselves, and you see that they were buried with the second copy of an unbreakable chain.
A second copy.
Yes, it seems that the first copy was not perfect, and so it was remade. And this unbreakable chain with a slight imperfection was instead buried with them, and the second used to bind the Silver Lord.
Okay. There's not a record of where they were buried.
There is, actually. And it is buried in a hall known as Dworkin's Hall, in the heart of a large series of mountains. And you think that these are actually somewhere south of where you are now. You begin thinking about it and trying to piece together where these mountains are. And if we take a look at our map here, you think that it refers to this set of mountains over here on the... Oh, I guess you gotta go there, huh? Oh, no, you're there. Over here, on the far western part of the map, near to the Elvendar, near to where there are rumors of the Vanishing City coming and going.
Okay.
In this heart, there's a great dwarven hold, and you believe it was buried there.
Okay. Well, with that information, is there a bell in the room that I'm in right now, or just at the top of the...
You look around and you do in fact find a small rope on the kind of southwest quadrant of the room that you can pull to chime a bell.
I'm gonna chime a bell, and then I'm gonna ask when the scrivener person comes. Is it the same guy every time, or is it a different Arcanoloth every time?
It is hard to tell.
Okay. They all wear the same uniforms.
Telling the difference between a single fox-like humanoid and another that is wearing kind of identical clothes is, I don't know.
Do they all have the same little spectacles?
The only if it is the same one or different ones, the only ones you've seen wear them.
Okay. I will ask a little piece of paper. I'll write copies, duplicates, and gesture to the books with a question mark. Like, is it possible to get replications of these books?
Okay. So you wait for some amount of time.
And then after they answer that, I'll just have them lead me back up to the party, so we're not split anymore.
Okay. You wait for some period of time, and the fox-like creature kind of walks down here, and sees what you've scribbled on the scroll, and shakes its head, very definitively no. And then when it realizes that you're done, kind of just walks you back up the flight of stairs, and walks you back along the kind of ascending outer hall of the tower until you arrive back at the same door, which he unlocks and opens. The four of you inside hear the key chunk.
Nice.
The door
I jump
slides
up,
open.
I scramble forwards with my little script. I'm
Remind
ready
me
for
what
this.
you asked. I've blanked in the last
I
minute.
asked where did Algernon go? That's what it says on the.
Oh, okay.
I folded up the little part where Janla wrote on so it looks neatly and nice, like I just folded it over.
Yeah.
Like here.
You fold it over. The door opens. The Arcanoloth kind of bids Goric to enter. It looks at your note, and you see the kind of edge of its mouth on the snout just kind of curled down, like almost like a small snarl for just a brief second, and he just shakes his head and points down, and then closes the door and locks it once again.
Oh, I don't say or think that. That's just me.
Goric will write on whatever piece of paper we're writing on that's most convenient. Probably the one that she just had in her hand. Something below. I can feel its presence. It's important, but I'm not sure what.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure how to get there. Maybe ... cause trouble? Question mark.
I'll just write ready on like the last little space that I have, and I'll hold it up. And I'll gently kick Quartz in his dangling leg, because he's apparently still reading.
I look over. I look over the note, and are there beds in this place?
There's kind of cot-like. They're not true cots. They seem to have some kind of strange design that you're unfamiliar with, but they look like they would be just as comfortable to lay in as they are to sit in.
When you say that their
I go like
design is
this
weird.
in response after reading the notes.
When I
Not
say
sure
they're
if
kind
this
of
is-
weird,
Are they weird the way that the beds made for the alien creatures in the Silverlord's realm were weird, or
similar, like they're not made the same way, but that just kind of like architecture you've never seen before that does things that you're not really familiar with, right? It just looks like it tickles that part of your brain that's like, this is unfamiliar.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
I think Quartz wants us to take a nap.
I know what he wants.
And then Kurtz will start like shuffling his feet on the ground after that.
Oh, I really don't want to sleep here, but well, okay. I'm not the greatest person when it comes to social interaction, but did I feel so? I've worked in a library before. With my extensive knowledge of library etiquette, how pissed off are library workers when you call them in several times to ask a book? Are they like, oh, this is my duty? Or are they like, oh my god, you know?
You know, I think it depends on the level of helpfulness. I think Algernon had more patience than your average person, and he would not regularly be upset. But you know that it's frustrating, man, when you just keep having people ring your bell and you're walking over, and what do you need? And you've helped the same person 4 times. That 5th time, you're going to be like, come on now.
Okay. I guess I sigh. I'm not gonna risk it. I'm not gonna sleep on one of the benches though. I'm gonna sleep like leaning. I'm gonna lean against the fountain. So I have Ray close by in case anything happens. I'm gonna put my blanket around myself, my grassy blanket. And
Ray
I'm just
like
gonna
walks up to your shoulder and is like, you should try the fountain. And you hear it's just like, shh.
I just take him and I just dip him back in.
Joke's on
I
you.
have to get a muzzle for him.
Yeah, he actually can't.
He said I should try the fountain though, so I'm gonna take a sip of the fountain, Greg.
He actually can't be drowned because of his background.
It is a delicious, clear, clean water. Tastes good.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I do.
All right.
Quartz is going to use one of the weird bed, bench, chair things.
Yeah.
And he'll rest there. He's pretty small too, so he doesn't need much to be able to lie down and sleep.
And you lie down and quickly find it is a very comfortable place to sleep, especially with a good omen reading scroll in your hand. And soon you find yourself nodding off quite quickly.
Chandler's very exhausted, so he'll sleep here.
All right. And so I guess the party lays down to sleep inside of the Scrivener's Tower. All of you find resting in the Scrivener's Tower to be incredibly refreshing. You have a dreamless sleep that lasts some amount of time. You don't really have a good way to know how much has passed or what has gone on. But you all wake up sometime later having no dreams, just quiet, perfect, easy sleep. Until you all seem to wake at the same time and are feeling refreshed. Janlar, you still have 1 level of exhaustion. It does not get rid of 2.
Okay.
But you are back down to just a single level. And all of you feel better than you did before you went to sleep. That's for sure.
Alright. Let's get the spell slots back. Spell points. Okay.
I'm gonna put my hand carefully over Ray's mouth and pick him up out of the fountain. And I'm going to start walking towards the door, I guess.
Okay.
And I have to ring the doorbell, otherwise it doesn't open, right?
Correct.
I'm ringing the doorbell.
All right. You
I have a
sound
feeling
the
things are.
tone.
Oh, sorry.
Sure,
Quartz has a feeling things are about to go bad, so he takes a few of the more
Yes.
interesting omen reading scrolls and throws them into his backpack.
What the hell? Well, now they are definitely gonna go bad. So.
Alrighty. You take some omen reading scrolls and throw them into your bag. And Rose sounds the bell. It tones softly in the back of your heads, and you wait for some amount of time until you hear once again the door kind of click open, at the lock, and it swings open to reveal another fox-like creature there. It's hard to tell if they're the same ones or not, but it is dressed exactly the same. With its little spectacles, looking at you all.
Entire time we were asleep, no one ever came to check on us or anything. They just left us in here.
Yep.
Okay. Is there a bathroom in this room?
No. Though you find that you don't need to go. It seems as if that there's just no need for that.
Okay.
The old man bladder has never been better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Greg, I
Probably
would like...
the first time he hasn't woken up in the night to.
Yeah.
Rose really does not want this to escalate, because this is... Whoa, Jesus.
You alright?
You good? What's up?
Nothing. I don't know. Never mind.
Okay.
So Rose really does... I just thought Dan was hitting himself for a second.
I was turning off because I was turning around because my Xbox like turned on there. Like I don't know.
Okay. Rose really doesn't want this to escalate. Okay. So she's gonna try her best. She's gonna frown at the fox. She's gonna point downstairs, and she's gonna do this.
This?
This.
Okay.
Gorik will, behind Rose, he'll have a little piece of paper that has the words, "We'd like to go below."
Yep, it goes like this.
I was going to ask, the foxes do have a perfect telepathy, so I was wondering if they will understand your hand motions. Greg the DM did not. So, yeah, you want to go down. The fox kind of shakes its head, like, no, like, you're not going down.
I'm gonna I'm gonna make a smoke signal again, and this time it's gonna be all red, and it's gonna say yes.
Quartz is gonna write
And
down.
I'm not gonna. Yeah.
The fox just kind of folds its like claw-like arms together.
And then it's gonna change the
Looks
thing.
like, no.
Quartz is gonna write down on the scroll, "Why can't we see Algernon?" and then hand it to the fox to write back.
The fox just looks at it and looks at you and just puts the scroll back in your hands and just shakes its head. No.
I'm going to take out...
Gorik's going to take the scroll and write, "I'd like to speak with your manager." The fox sees that, it just kind of like, it's hard for a fox to frown, but it kind of gets that snarl look to it again, and more firmly shakes its head just a single time, like, no.
It's not hard for Janlar to frown, and Janlar is
I
frowning.
would like to take out one of the diamonds we got.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to write down on the like the last piece of scroll I have, I guess, I'm going to write down donation ? And hold up the diamond.
The fox creature just shakes its head, and it goes to close the door in your face. And then successfully does so. It just closes the door, and you hear the locking click back in.
Quartz starts shuffling his feet on the ground and then kind of like tilts his head a little bit, looking at the party.
I'll look at Hugh and I'll say, "You've been showing remarkable self-restraint, not saying anything."
It's like I'm not even here. He looks at you with like a full mouth full of like dumplings and things from the plate. And all, mm-hmm.
Janlar takes out the wand of conjuring and just gets ready for the fight.
Like, ready. Okay.
And I'm gonna write down on a piece of paper, "Do we fight?" Question mark.
I don't know how many of them there are. They do not seem concerned by our presence, which makes me suspect they have defenses in place. If we cause trouble, we might be taken below where Algernon is, or we may simply be ejected from the tower and never be able to enter it again. The first is ideal, the second is far from it. I suppose we could try asking what happens if we make trouble, but I don't know that it will answer us.
Okay, I'm ringing the doorbell. I'm taking the ink, and I'm taking a letter. I'm gonna write down book about processes and procedures in like the Spire
Tower.
Library in the Scrivener's Tower. Like an introduction for beginners, right? Like I'm gonna write that down.
User agreement and terms and conditions. Privacy.
Exactly. I'm gonna ask for the terms and conditions that nobody ever asked for, Greg. But I'm sure somebody has written those down because
If we
these
solve
people
this problem
are
through
correct.
bureaucracy, I'm gonna be so proud of us.
Well, if there's such a thing, I do have a library proficiency. So, there has to be, I know there has to be a training book because I've read one of those before. Okay?
Oh my goodness. The magical interdimensional Scrivener's Tower that holds all of the knowledge in the universe. I guess we probably have a book of etiquette of the Scrivener's Tower.
It does have to have one.
Okay, you ring the bell and the fox-like creature comes back. The door unlocks. It swings open. It stands, arms already folded in front of you all,
right.
looking.
How far does it walk into the room?
It doesn't. It opens the door and just kind of looks at you.
Greg's
Good.
gonna telepathically say, I think it's the same creature, it's already annoyed.
The fox doesn't even shush you. It just like puts a single like kind of semi-curled, semi-straight claw up to its snout, like.
So does it
Corpse is
react at
gesturing
all?
to Rose's letter.
Do you want that?
You point. It looks at it, scratches its little like snout for a second, and then closes the door. Some time
I'm waiting.
passes. Some
I'm
more time
patiently
passes.
waiting.
Some more
Doesn't
time
matter.
passes.
I'm waiting.
Eventually, the door unlocks again. Slides back open. A single like scroll, like the smallest scroll you've ever seen, is just handed to you.
Nice. I
The
push
door
up my little
closes
monocle
again.
so I can read it better.
The door closes again. It locks, and it has
'Cause
is simply.
I have
just
20/20 eyesight, so I don't understand how glasses work, so I just do the motion because I feel like that's.
That's
You
what
read
all-
it. It
that's what
has
all
a
the smart
list of
people do.
rules. It says the first says silence at all times. The second says stay is indefinite at discretion of management.
Mm-hmm.
I thought so.
The third says full no copies may directly be transcribed. For no scrolls or tomes may leave the tower.